So welcome everybody. We're really happy to have Frank here today. He's an expert in the insurance market and the district director, right, in the Peninsula, the San Francisco area. So would you introduce, farmers to us?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Ramirez. I'm the district manager here in the Peninsula for Farmers Insurance. We've got about 50 agents in my district from San Mateo County all the way to San Francisco. And we have probably about a good 15 that are Chinese speaking, including Grace, my newest agent. Grace has been with me about 3 months, and she's doing a good job. She's learning a lot. And she asked me to speak to you guys and kind of talk a little bit about insurance in a broad form right now, at least to start, covering everything that we do from commercial, obviously all the personal lines, auto, home, umbrella, life insurance, and things of that nature. But I'll let Grace go ahead and introduce herself and say something real quick.
大家好，我们是 Farmers 保险公司，我是 Grace Liu。今天给大家分享有关房子、车子、商业、人寿保险在购买时如何组合更合适。保险涉及到千家万户的人身与财产安全，有一份适合自己的保单，让你的生活更安心。今天的主讲人是 Frank 先生，他是我们三藩市的地区经理，他有20多年的丰富的保险经验，他将全面分析各种保险的职责与责任，在购买保险时保单中常见的问题，教大家如何选择更满意。Please, Frank.
Very nice. I don't know what you said, but it's okay. And I'll try to talk slow so that so some of you guys can understand. I normally talk fast anyways, so that's one of my problems. But I'm very comfortable speaking to large groups. But so at the end, I'll talk for about 15-20 minutes, talk a little bit about some product, and then after that, I would love to take any questions that can be directly at anything that I talked about or anything else. And then Grace can definitely go ahead and interpret for me as well. Okay, so is that okay, Jack?
Yes, that would be perfect. Yeah,
okay.
And
perfect.
Everybody, when Frank talk, if you have any questions, you can put on the chat room so everybody can see
it. And feel free, Jack, since you're moderating this, feel free to interject and maybe ask me if there's a question and interrupt me, and I'll be happy to answer it at the time.
Thank you.
But we'll definitely have room for Q&A at the end. Okay, first things first, a little bit about insurance and why insurance, right? The main reason we have insurance, and obviously it's going to be for protection of your assets, okay? But everything's done, every single asset's different. And let's talk about homeowners first, okay? And the way we cover our homes. We cover our homes to protect the actual asset itself, right? The home is the asset. But a lot of people want to always protect the home value to the value they bought it for. And that's not the way we do insurance, right? We protect insurance based on replacement value to rebuild the house. The Bay Area is a really good example of the differences in values, right? We have replacement value. What does it cost to build that house? And then we have the retail sale value. What does it cost to buy the house? And it's a big variation. A home could be $1 million replacement value, but will be like a $3 million to buy a home here in the Bay Area. And the main variance is the cost of the land, okay? Because a land is not an insurable item, okay? So, and when you get a home of the same size and scope and whatnot, and you build it in the Bay Area, that same house is somewhere in the valley, say Sacramento, will be a whole different price when it comes to buying. I think people understand that people always want to have the same amount of insurance that they bought the house for. And that's one misconception that happens a lot, the retail and the replacement value of the homes. And there's that part on homes. There's obviously other coverages that come with your home. When you insure a home for $1 million, and that's the dwelling value, the value of the house, we'll say, It comes with other parts to it, right? It comes with the separate structures. That's going to be your any kind of structure that's not tied to the house, like a detached garage, a swimming pool, the fences, things of that nature will be separate structure. They're added coverages for your home. Then you're also going to have personal property, and that's going to be everything that you would take with you if you was to move. That will be your personal property. People have different descriptions of personal property, but the best one would be if you moved, how much of everything that goes with you is personal property. And you have more than you think. People think they don't have much, but usually have quite a bit more personal property than they think. And then there's other coverages that come along with it too, but probably the most important one is what I like to cover is liability. Liability is the most important because what that does, that truly protects our asset, and our main asset is our income, is our money in the bank, the things that we worked so hard for, our equity. If someone does a mistake, right? Someone in your family makes a mistake and causes an accident and hurts someone, you can get sued in America. Real simple. You can easily get sued, and they can take you to court for those assets. And how you protect those assets is through liability. And your home liability covers you in that. But a lot of the times, though, that might not be enough, right? Because you might get $300,000, $500,000, maybe even $1 million of liability in your homeowners, which is very, very common in a homeowner's policy. But you need more than that because you may have more assets than that. And what you do that through the means of an umbrella. An umbrella goes up to $10 million of coverage, and that protects you in case, again, also if you get hurt. We'll use an example of, let's say you're skiing in Tahoe and you're coming down the slope, and then you hit someone, some old person or some young kid, and you hurt him real bad to the point where they cannot walk no more. That would be a reason for you to get sued, and you could lose all your assets. And you will. In America, that happens, especially in California. But if you have good insurance, that will protect you. Okay? So there's that so far where I can make a small brief stop on homeowners and also umbrella, and the most important coverage being liability. Okay? So I'll stop there for a second, Jack, see if there's any questions so far.
Okay, anybody? Okay, I see some question here. Can you say it in the chat room? There is one.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah. A couple of questions here now.
Okay, I see. How to determine, the question was asked to how to determine the amount for umbrella insurance. You know, when it comes, umbrella is basically liability, okay? Your homeowners has liability, your auto has liability, and then your umbrella is basically coverage over that, okay? And so any kind of liability, the number how you get to that number that you need is really up to your asset worth. I'd say your net worth is a good rule of thumb. But really, your net worth is higher in insurance because we calculate your income as well too into that calculation. And so people have in the Bay Area, there's anybody that even just owns a house will have a $3 to $5 million need of an umbrella just because they own a house and they have a job in the Bay Area. So it's going to be different for everyone. So an insurance professional like Grace, we can sit down with you and go over your needs based on your asset mix, based on what you have for homes, the job you have, things of that nature, money in the bank and things like that. Let me see. I do see based on total assets is good, but it's also adding the income, because one thing that they can sue you for, and they can that in the calculation will be the garnishment of wages. Garnishment of wages in California can easily be garnished 25%. So if you make $100,000, they can garnish $25,000 every year until that claim is paid off. Okay. I see another question here. Okay, it's about the auto insurance. Okay, you know what? Let's get into auto insurance, and then I'll answer that question. Okay, so auto insurance too as well. There's basic coverage, right? People have their 15,000. In California, you have to have 1530. 15,000 for liability, 13,000 liability for the whole accident, and then 5,000 for property. Okay, so 1535. That's the minimum coverage. I would never want to be riding with that kind of coverage. It's really low coverage, right? Then you have what people call it full coverage, where you add in the comprehensive and collision, and now you're covering the material damage on your car, right? Now you're covering your car, when you get in an accident or when, basically a tree falls on it or someone breaks into the car or anything like that happens to the car. That's a full coverage policy. But if you don't have really good liability, you can get sued. Okay, so that 1535, that number there, that number that I said first, liability, that is just like the liability in the home. You have to have at least, with Farmers Insurance, you have to have at least $250,000 minimum to even get an umbrella, because the umbrella doesn't kick in until they exhaust the initial $250,000 of coverage. Okay, so let's answer that question now. Okay, so if you have your car insured, right, and your car is, let's just say it's a old car and it's worth $3,000. That's it. It's an old vehicle. I don't want to say any brands because I don't want to offend anybody. But it's an old car that's only worth $4,000. And should you drop comprehensive collision? I would definitely consider it, because at this point, you can save money on comp and collision and have better liability coverage, because the most important coverage in the auto policy is liability. Because again, you can get sued. And so I said the example about skiing and about having an accident with a homeowner's policy. More accidents happen in the car than anywhere else. So when you hit someone and it's your fault, you can get sued, right? And that's when usually the umbrella kicks in the most. We rarely use it in the home accidents, or when you have an accident outside your home that's not in a car. It's mostly happens in an auto accident is when you have. So you really want to have at least $500,000 of liability. And it sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money for protection, but liability is not that expensive. What's more expensive is a comprehensive and collision that this person was asking. So if the car's getting old, it's almost smart of you to not worry about your car and when it's that old, and worry more about you getting sued by someone else. Okay, and that's why we really focus on the liability portion of the automobile. And then lastly, well, not lastly, I do want to make sure we touch again on umbrella. We sell umbrellas all the way up to $10 million. There is availability to do more than that. It has to be outside our carrier, our company, but they start at $1 million, and you have to have at least $250,000 in your insurance, your auto, to have an umbrella. And then it goes up to $10 million based on your assets. Usually is how we determine the amount of insurance for an umbrella. And again, umbrellas are real cheap. They're right around $300 a year for one umbrella for a basic household with one house and two cars. You add more houses and more cars, then it costs a little bit more, but it doesn't increase that much. It just depends on what you add to it, but very minimal. That's the basic personal lines, right? And then what I'll do, I'll transition over to life insurance. Life insurance, we have term for the most part, and perm. I call it term and perm. There's two types, term insurance and perm. They're both good. They both have their needs. Term insurance is very, very inexpensive, I'll say. I don't want to use the word cheap, but it's inexpensive, and it's pure insurance. That's all it is. It's insurance. So you can buy a lot of it, and it's good to buy a lot. When you're younger, we'll just say between the ages of 30 years old to at least 50. When you're that age, it's good to have a lot of term insurance to cover something was to happen unexpectedly, your life unexpectedly. And you still want to buy a permanent plan, because that's going to be with you for the long haul. Okay. So I always recommend my agents when they present a life policy to a customer, they should present a term with a lot of insurance, and then a perm with about, we'll just say $1 million a term and about $300,000 of universal permanent insurance, $1.3 million total insurance. It sounds like a lot, But if you pass away young, say at the age of 40 years old, that 1.3 will get paid out. Once you pass 50 years old, you probably don't need that $1 million of term no more because you've already worked a lot and you built a lot of assets. And now what's important is to have a good universal life policy to build cash value. What's good about a universal policy, a cash value permanent plan, is that you can make it an asset, and it becomes an asset, and you can build some cash value that can help you even in your retirement years. You can build it so high in cash value that you can even withdraw from it to help you supplement your income when you're older and you need that money. That's the best way I recommend to all my customers, my agents, to sell, is because it's important for the customer to make sure they have that policy when they're 65, 75, 85, and even older. And only the permanent plan will be there if it's presented and sold right to the customer. People buy universal policies and they don't put the right amount of money into it. It's got to be funded aggressively when you're younger so that it lasts over 100 years old. And they usually do if it's done right. Okay, and that's what the importance of insurance. And I know that Grace was going to get into that a little bit, but let me answer a question here. I see here, the question is, if insurance estimates value of my home replacement is too low comparing actual pay in my area, how to demand the insurance to increase the replacement value? You can ask for more, but remember the difference is there's a replacement to build the house, and there's to buy the house. Okay, I mean, comparing the actual cost in my area. See, you're exactly, whoever this is, you're exactly thinking exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of people think that the cost that they bought their house for is what they should get insurance for, and that's not the case. The cost of the house, especially in the Bay Area, will be a lot more than the cost to replace the home. So you got to think of, what would it cost to build my house? Okay, in the Bay Area, you can buy a house for $1,000 a square foot, right? That's what they sell for, $800 to $1,000, but you can build it for $300 to $400. So that's the difference. The difference between $300 to $400 and $800 to $1,000, depending on the variables. Every house is different, but it's definitely going to be around half of it, or so, more or less, depending on the size of the home. The replacement cost is definitely different than the cost the retail cost. Let me see. Any other questions I see there? I don't see any more questions there, but I'm open to answer more questions, or I'll have Grace.
Question.
I did some. Let's see. Let me see if there's any more. The question is how to demand insurance to increase the replacement value. You could always discuss things like that with your insurance agent. If you think that it does cost more to replace your home, the value, then that's not a problem. We can always discuss that with the agent. The agent is always welcome to discuss that with the client. But normally my agents are there to educate the client and let them know why this is the value of the home based on facts, right? We use a system called 360 value. What it does, it looks at the house and how it's made, how they build the house, with what material, and from the roof all the way down to the basement, and how the interior, the kitchen design, all that, and we basically rebuild it in our system. And that's how we come up with the value. And if you don't agree with it, that's okay. We can talk about it, but usually it's pretty spot on. Okay.
我给大家讲一下那个
Go ahead.
储蓄的那个保险，就是我们Farmers保险公司的那个人寿保险。那我给大家分析一下一组数据啊，就是说你买那个储蓄险，在你50岁的时候，你每个月交1000块钱，你的保额是30万，然后在20年后，你的收益是75815，30年收益是237416，40年的收益是413833，这是每个月配1000块钱，30万的，然后每个月配1500块钱，然后就是40万的保单。 然后在20年的时候，你的收益是119461，30年是368563，40年是669841，这个就是比在银行里存钱那就是好得多，就是我们一般保证的3%到8%的利息，银行现在这程度是零利率，所以我觉得我们这个储蓄的这个保险相当不错的。那个是。
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Frank. And anybody 哈，如果你没有问题的话，就是可以把问题写在这个 chat room 这里。这样的话，就是 Frank or Grace can help answer us.
你如果说那个什么的话，你可以用中文给我发个微信里也可以，我也可以随时回答。
Okay.
对，中文、英文都可以。
中文、英文都可以。中文你打在上面，微信上面打的我也看得见，我可以随时回答。
Yeah, hey Frank. Yeah, as far as I know, right, there is a lot of insurance companies, but basically, some has auto insurance, some has home insurance, but no one like farmers, right? You have everything together. I think that's a big advantage to work with you guys.
That's a good point, Jack. With farmers insurance, what you could do is we do the auto, we do the home, we do the umbrella, we do the life, we do all the ones that I talked about, and then we also do Foremost. Foremost covers boats, motorcycles, all the toys we call them, jet skis, things like that. We also do commercial work for your office if you have a business office. Everything from restaurants, doctors, medical, dentists, any kind of office. And then we do the workers' comp for the office, for the employees. And then we also do, let me see, those are the main lines. And then after that, whatever we don't do, we can do it outside of Farmers. So Farmers allows you to do it outside of Farmers. Let's say, for example, health insurance. That's something we don't do with Farmers, but Farmers allows their agents to get appointed with someone like Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and sell that for their clients so that we make sure we cover all the needs of the clients. And then, as you were expressing, when you do the auto and the home and the life, then you get the bundle pricing. You get better pricing as well, too, because it's together with one company. So, yeah, you get better rates.
Okay. We have a question here. Yeah, we have 10 minutes left. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a question for you, Frank.
I know, I can't read that one. Okay.
About that.
Okay, for the perm insurance, how long do we have to pay for the insurance? It's up to you, okay? What I recommend, about 20 to 30 years, okay? You don't have to pay for that long, but what I recommend is paying as much as you can up to the maximum of that policy while you're able to, when you're working, right? In your working years and you're making better money when you're younger. So if you can get a policy between the age of 30 to 40, somewhere between 35, 40 years old, somewhere in that age, and pay for it for about 20 to 30 years till you're about 60. When you retire, you can stop paying. If you pay enough and you do it right, that money will be just like a 401k. It'll grow. I do it myself. I tell Guru, I show her my example, and depending on your income and the level of the comfort you have and how much you want to have in the future. Okay, I put $1,000 a month into mine, so it's up to you. My policy is only like 300,000, or I think it's 250,000 face value, but I'm not worried about the face value. I'm worried about the cash value that I'm going to grow it to. The plan on my example, it's set to be about $800,000 by the time I'm 60, and that's an extra money that I'm going to have in there to supplement my retirement too as well. I can withdraw it all at that time if I want to, or I can leave it and hopefully it grows more. But if I leave it also, it could, when I'm really old, it'll start going down if I don't put my money into it. So there's a sweet spot at that age, somewhere in that age, where I should either withdraw it or I should die, I guess. But I don't want to die. But usually around 60 to 80, around that time frame, there's a spot in there where you should take it out or at least use it to live off. Okay? So you don't have to pay it forever. You can, but you shouldn't. The most you can pay till is 100 years old, first of all. But no one does it that far. People pay it till about when they stop working full time. Okay?
Grace 有什么补充的吗？我们可能还可以再回答一个问题。
就是我觉得这个1500的每个月1500的那个，等到40年的时候，他保的是40万，等到40年以后，他能拿出136万771，这个能拿出这么多钱来，他的保额应该是170多万了，所以我觉得这个1500的40年的这个挺好的，他能保121岁，就是只要你活到121岁，这些钱都是你的，就是寿命越长越合适，这个意思。这是我们Farmers最好的一个保单。1500、1000都，这是在50岁的时候，买这个保单可以。如果说你在18岁的时候你开始买，每个月只要交100块钱，一保25万、50万都可以，收益也蛮好的。就是我们这个人寿保险最特色的。
Okay, because I use the free version of Zoom, so we have 40 minutes limit.
可以买。
I see. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
50岁可以买。
Yeah, so we can talk in the WeChat group, right? I think, people need more details. Yeah, we can talk in the WeChat group or call Grace to have a quote.
可以买的40年，也可以买的一直买到120岁都可以。
Well, we can also do one day if people want to know a little bit more about a particular product. What Grace can set up is maybe a small group setting, and maybe not now during this time, but maybe in the next couple months, where we can meet and we can go over it with a small group and break down, say, a life policy or a home policy, something like that, like a seminar where people can learn.
就是说，我说的这个40年，就是说你在40年后，你可以取出来能取到136万，是这个意思。136万0771，就是说你在买这个1500块的时候，比方说中途几年当中，比方说自己条件不太好，我可以少付一点，这是一个弹性的。比方说你很好的条件很好的时候，就每个月付1500，就比较方便。然后还有什么问题吗
？Okay, yeah, because we have 40 minutes limit, so that's for today. So thank you, Frank, and thank you, everybody. Yeah, now let's keep talking on the WeChat group. Okay.
Okay, thank you.